Hello everyone, I hope all is well. Now remember I told you guys that we had not heard the worst of Diddy? Now, I guess by now most people are aware that Diddy was arrested in New York last night, right? Yesterday. Now, listen, this is a Cirque du Soleil of sex, of deviant sex. I mean, Diddy is the devil. This is the ultimate expose of Diddy's sex circus with interchanging clowns and performances. Rigorous performances with Diddy as the ring master. Diddy really made himself God and leader of all things degenerate and deviant. I mean, the meaning of Diddy anyway is a woman's breasts, which is why he was always attached to them. Dirty, dirty Diddy.
More than 1,000 bottles of body oil and lubricants and IV treatments after these freak-off parties. If you want to know why P. Diddy is getting arrested, I just went through the 14-page indictment that was just released. I'm only going to show you the parts that you need to see from this, so you don't have to go through the whole thing. But again, this is going to be a lot to try to censor on here. There's tons in this document, so in an effort to not get this suppressed, please press the buttons. Anyway, so it looks like they're going after him and all of his associates that worked for Combs Enterprises for engaging in criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstructing justice. Also, look at his name. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. On every line they had to put that. They're saying that he engaged in all kinds of abusive behavior against women, verbal, emotional, physical, and that he was manipulating women into doing highly orchestrated performances that were, orchestrated by him with other male S workers. It's at this point in the document where I start figuring out that the freak-off parties are just Diddy orchestrating real-life porn because it's not enough for him to watch anymore, so he is transporting real-life humans to him to put on performances against their will for him to consume. And having this level of boredom and having enough money to be able to do this to human beings is exactly why billionaires should not exist, but I digress. He would ensure the participation of these women by giving them, narcotics and controlling their careers, finances, and basically threatened to end them if they didn't do it. Now, this is where they go into the fact that everyone who was working for his business, including certain employees, were carrying out, facilitating this, and covering up his abuse. It talks about his security staff, his household staff, his personal assistants, high-ranking supervisors, everyone that was working for him is going to be under fire now because they were conducting and facilitating and assisting him in doing these things. This part went on to talk a little bit about the function of Combs Enterprises. They talk about how basically they were enticing the members by making their lives better if they were willing to conceal his crimes for him, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enabling the power of Combs Enterprises, including the power of its leader, Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. This part gets worse. It talks about how Combs and the members and associates of his business used his prestigious role as P. Diddy to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into his orbit after under the guise of having a romantic relationship with him, and then he would use and force them with threats and coercion into becoming one of his victims. And here's where they start talking about the freak-off parties. So he was enticing girls to get into his orbit under the guise of that your life is going to get better, you're going to be my girlfriend, and then he was bringing them to these freak-off parties. Amongst other things, the freak-off parties were, like I said earlier, elaborate produced performances arranged by Combs, directed, and he would watch and enjoy during, and they were also electronically recorded. So he's also in a lot of trouble for transporting all of the workers to these parties, workers and victims. So it says that he transported the commercial S workers across state lines intentionally for these parties, and then would distribute various controlled substances. I don't know if you guys remember, but there were often pictures of outside his home having huge black vans, and one of his neighbors at the time that all of this stuff started coming out said that there were often these buses going in and out of his house all hours of the night and women standing around them. That seems to match up with what is being said here. Freak-offs occurred regularly and sometimes lasted multiple days. Combs kept videos he filmed of the victims engaging in the acts with the commercial workers. And after these freak-off parties, Combs would typically provide IV fluids so that they could physically recover from the exertion and the substances. His team is in trouble for booking rooms for these parties to occur, and also for making sure that he was set up with everything he needed, including the substances, the baby oil, lubricant, linens, anything that he would need for these parties. Basically, they're saying there's other people involved in helping him facilitate this, and they're all going down. Victims of these parties were often subjected to all kinds of abuse, and afterwards, Diddy would maintain his control over them by promising them careers, threatening physical violence, granting and threatening and withholding financial support over their head, coercion, all kinds of things. This also says that he would maintain control over them by supplying them controlled substances, which probably means getting them hooked on them, which is exactly what his past bodyguard said that he had planned to do to Danny Kane. Apparently, according to that bodyguard, Diddy said to a room full of people that he was going to get Danny Kane hooked on drugs and use them as workers for him. The list goes on about him being in trouble for transporting him for the enterprise, also having accountability in that, and then it also goes on to just say that there was involvement in kidnapping, which is just crazy. I mean, this pretty much covers it all, and apparently he is about to plead not guilty.
What I said.
It is kind of beyond human comprehension to actually believe that one human was capable of so much evil. Hannibal Lecter, Diddy. Amazing. Anyway, as always, stay safe and be self-aware, and subscribe for more snippets of wisdom and real talk. See you in the next video.